I have done it. Now that Fairy Tail's final season is behind me, I have read 100 Years Quest. I set aside a day and binged all 35 chapters that are currently out at the time of this recording, and let me tell you, there is a lot of information to talk about. So that's why I've decided to split this into multiple parts. I'm thinking at least 2, but no more than 3. Because I didn't want to come on here and just say,
hey, Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest is dope and I'm gonna cover it now.
I also didn't want to make like an hour-long video with me just going on and on. I feel like multiple parts is the way to go. I want to retell the story and give my thoughts without taking too little or too long of a time. Also, I am going to try and get these videos done before the new chapter comes out. So with all that explanation out of the way, let's get into it. This series starts out with 3 new mages that have just joined Fairy Tail. 2 of them immediately quit because they get scared, leaving one remaining, a girl named Toka. She joined the guild because apparently Natsu saved her life and now she's madly in love with him, but unfortunately for her, Natsu is not at the guild. He is on a mission that has not been completed since the formation of guilds. The 100-year quest. Also, for the record, I didn't trust Toka the second she appeared. She just seemed off to me. Back to the story, though. Now, it's not just Natsu on this mission, it's also the main crew, so Erza, Gray, Lucy, Wendy, Happy, and Charles. I'll be referring to them as the crew over these videos, by the way. Anyways, in order to start this quest, the crew travel to a continent called Britannia and find the oldest guild in the world. And there, a dragon called Eleftheria is waiting. It turns out Eleftheria is a dragon slayer that turned into a dragon, so he's a lot like Acnologia. He learned dragon slaying magic in order to defeat and seal the 5 dragon gods. He was unsuccessful, so that's why he turned his mission into a quest. After learning that Natsu was the one who defeated Acnologia, Eleftheria proclaims that they are his last hope then, and with smiles all over their faces, the crew accepts the quest, saying they will complete it. Eleftheria then gives the location of their first target, Merkphobia, the water dragon god. Eleftheria claims he is in a city called Elmina, because the people there worship him. Before the crew leave, he also says the reward for completing the 100-year quest is a wish. He will grant them anything that they desire, and after that, the crew make their way to Elmina. In Elmina, they discover that the people there can turn into fish, and also at night, the tide sinks the entire city. The people in the city are very hospitable. However, when Gray asks about the water dragon god, hospitality quickly goes out the window and the city starts to attack the crew. They claim the crew is exactly like the humans that had come before, and that the crew are enemies of the water god. Meanwhile, back in Magnolia, Gaggia, Lily, Juvia, and Levi start investigating Toka. They find her suspicious after she mentioned the name of a member of Avatar whose name isn't well known. Levi, however, is not fully on board with investigating one of their guild members. Eventually, they find out that she has a tail for whatever reason, and that naturally makes them even more suspicious of her. However, they are not the only ones investigating Toka. It turns out that Jalal is on the case as well, and when Jalal showed up, I got hyped, because it's Jalal and he's sick. But back to Elmina, the crew have successfully escaped the fish people and discussed their next move. They all agreed that the fish people aren't bad, they're just protecting their god. But that's also where the problem lies, since the crew was literally sent here to deal with their god. But Lucy points out that the goal is to seal the water dragon god, not necessarily defeat him, so there is a way they could possibly resolve this issue peacefully. Natsu doesn't really care for that idea because I'm pretty sure he just wants to fight, but he eventually settles with her idea, but says if the water dragon god touches any of his friends, he'll slay him for sure, and that also goes for all of the other dragons. Now this line right here is important for a discussion that will probably happen in the next video, so keep that in the back of your mind. Anyways, Lucy transforms them all into fish so they can split up and gather info. Natsu, Lucy, and Happy then find a woman trapped in a cage who is supposed to be sacrificed to the water god, and a creature that is said to be him appears, and the woman then claims that she's been waiting for this. She slices open her cage and charges towards him. The creature is then quickly cut to pieces with her blade dragon slaying powers. It turns out that the creature was not the water dragon god, so she turns her attention to Natsu, and while they fight, she explains that she is a 5th generation dragon slayer, and that they gain their powers by eating dragons. I think that this is the coolest concept for a dragon slayer since the 1st generation. Actually, It might even be cooler than the first. Also, she tells Natsu that her name is Kiria and that she is in a guild called Diablos, which is completely comprised of 5th generation Dragon Slayers. Gray shows up and freezes Kiria, but she breaks free almost immediately. Erza swoops in and tries to attack her with her sword, but a mysterious man blocks it with his head. He is revealed to be Madmol, the armored Dragon Slayer. And while this is all going on, the water dragon god Merkphobia then appears and splits the sea they're fighting in. Kiria is eager to fight, but before she can do anything, she and Madmol start turning to ash and disappear. The crew, now alone with Merkphobia, have a quick chat and perceive him to be a decent person. Therefore, they see no reason to fight or seal him, but Merkphobia exclaims that they must seal him. Before any explanation is given though, the water dragon god takes the crew to his temple. There they see all the good that he is doing. He has a farm that grows fruits and vegetables which he shares with the people of the city. He has a medical station that heals the people when they're hurt, and his watchtower helps him look out for people in distress at sea. The crew is moved by Merkphobia's good deeds, but he says despite all of the good, he's also killed many humans in the past, some of which were Elefseria's friends and family, because back then it was normal for the strong to hunt the weak. When asked what made him change his way, Merkphobia explains that it was Karamil, a woman who he unintentionally saved at sea, but then quickly became attached to, and they've stayed side by side ever since. This helped him to learn to live in coexistence with humans. Merkphobia then finally explains why he must be sealed. The tide that sinks the city of Elmina is his doing not by choice, but because he can no longer control his magic power. And it's not just going to stop at Elmina. The tide will continue to grow and sink more cities. He has become a danger and his power won't be calmed unless he is killed. However, before he dies, Merkphobia says he must fix a massive problem that has arisen. Meanwhile, on a Dragon Eater ship, Kiria yells at Scaleon, who is the Ash Dragon Slayer, for taking her out of the fight, while Madmol does his best to try and calm her down. Scaleon says that the reason that he pulled them out of said fight is because the water dragon god is a fake. Merkphobia reveals to the crew that his power was stolen by a white mage. The Dragon Eaters, who are apparently eavesdropping on this conversation, suddenly appear in the temple. Scaleon proclaims that he will eat this white mage, while Natsu, in defiance, shouts that he won't let them. But back in Magnolia, Jalal learns thanks to Kagura that Toka has joined Fairy Tail. Jalal then shares that Toka is possibly more dangerous than Zareth, because she is the white mage. Again, like I said, totally didn't trust her and I was right not to. Back to the story though. So Merkphobia tries to stop the Dragon Eaters but is swiftly taken out. The crew and the Dragon Eaters then engage in fierce combat. Erza takes on Kiria, Gray battles Scaleon, Natsu fights Madmol, and Wendy and Lucy kinda just watch for the majority of it. But that doesn't matter to me because the fights were still really well done. Like firstly, Natsu's fight. Natsu goes at Madmol with pure force, but as a result he damages his hand. While Natsu is in pain, Madmol capitalizes on the opportunity and throws him into the Dragon Eater ship. This causes Natsu to get queasy, so now he's down for the count. This is also where it's revealed that 5th generation Dragon Slayers don't suffer from motion sickness. Next up though is Erza's fight. She and Kiria go at it with their blades and they're pretty much evenly matched, but then Kiria casts a spell that cuts off Erza's strength, making her basically become Kiria's pet in fear of her own life. This is where Wendy and Lucy try to help out, but they immediately get stumped out. Finally though, we have Gray versus Scaleon, and this is hands down the best of the 3 fights for me, because every single attack that Gray throws out is immediately turned to ash. So he awakens his Devil Slayer form, which starts freezing the sea. He then goes in for a devastating attack, but even when Scaleon is completely frozen, he still turns the ice to ash. Then he starts turning the sea into ash. To counter, Gray uses Ice Make Silver to freeze the ash. Scaleon has had enough though, so he uses a move called Black Ash, which seemingly turns Gray, well, into ash. The crew and Merkphobia lay on the ground in defeat. But off in Magnolia, Jalal has found Toka. He presses her about the white mage, and Toka plays dumb, saying he must have her confused with someone else because she only uses water magic. Jalal is undeterred. He knows she stole that magic from the water dragon god and that she's been stealing magic from other people as well. So he tries to take her in, but he is thwarted by none other than Loxus. Jalal is persistent in wanting to take Toka, and it looks like a fight is about to break out, but unfortunately, that doesn't happen. Jalal backs off, and he says he's going to keep his eyes on Toka, and bro, I just gotta say this is a massive waste of a great opportunity. Jalal versus Loxus would have been lit as all get out, and sure, it might happen in the future, but it should have happened then. While that was all going on in Magnolia though, back off the coast of Elmina, on the Dragon Eater ship, the crew is not doing so hot. Erza is still Kiria's pet, Wendy and Natsu are tied up in the cargo hold suffering from motion sickness, and they all are unaware of where Lucy is. Meanwhile, Lucy is paddling around in the middle of the ocean with Happy and Charles, trying to find her crew, but instead, she finds someone else, Lady Brandish, and she's holding a miniature unconscious Gray. Brandish tosses Gray to Lucy, and then they chat about what happened with the Alvarez Kingdom and the remaining Spriggan 12. Apparently, Agiel now leads, Demaria hates battles and has become a farmer, Invel and Nineheart are in jail, and Larcade is missing. So yeah, we're definitely gonna see him show up in this story in the future. But anyways, Lucy then asks for Brandish's help, but Brandish declines, saying she's already on a quest and she's searching for Aquarius. Brandish then turns Gray back to his normal size and they go their separate ways. On the Dragon Eater ship, it's shown that Erza has regained her strength, and in the dead of night she leaves Kiria to get Natsu and Wendy. Erza tells them it's time for a counterattack, but Natsu and Wendy are still suffering from motion sickness and are unable to fight. Suddenly, the ship finds itself high in the air on top of a hill, and this is thanks to none other than Brandish herself, who does this as a parting gift. Now, with the ship motionless, Erza, Wendy, and Natsu's counterattack can begin. In Magnolia, another battle is about to begin, because Toka, or rather the White Mage herself, has just confronted Jalal. Jalal asks why she's going after Fairy Tail. She explains that it's because they are strong. She believes that magic that large gathered in a single point could lead to chaos and destruction, so she will reduce them to nothingness. After that, the White Mage starts stealing Jalal's magic power, but before Jalal's power can be taken, the White Mage stops and reels back. She then starts telling Jalal to run away before the one in her appears again. While this is happening though, Gagio bursts onto the scene and knocks her out. As it turns out, Toka and the White Mage are two separate personalities living in the same body. Meanwhile, the counterattack on the Dragon Eaters ensues. Erza has her rematch with Kiria. Kiria breaks Erza's sword during the fight, but instead of summoning a new one, she instead causes an energy blade to spring from the hilt. This new sword is enchanted with dragon-slaying magic thanks to Wendy, and it's called Belsirion. Natsu is also rematching his foe, Mad Mole, but this time, instead of trying to defeat him with pure force, he turns up the heat. No matter how good the armor is, can it take on the heat?
The armor dragon has heat resistance.
My heat can overwhelm that!
It won't work.
Burn! Fire Dragon King's Purgatory! His fire also causes the entire ship to start to melt, as well as people's clothes. Erza equips her fire empowerment armor to resist the flames and then finish off Kiria. The rest of the crew then appear on the scene, and with the Dragon Eaters being injured and now outnumbered, they decide to retreat. Scalion makes them disappear into ash. This in turn causes the entire ship to become ash as well. Erza suspects that the ship was comprised of ash make magic, but Gray insists that it's not make magic. I'm thinking he's possibly worried that Scalion is a more powerful make magic wizard than him, which he very well might be, and that only makes me even more hyped for their rematch. Anyways, back in the Water Dragon God's temple, Carmiel is at the side of an unconscious Mercphobia. He soon wakes up, but then he grabs her around the throat and violently tells her to get away. The crew are rowing in Lucy's boat, trying to get back to Elmina, but in the distance they see smoke rising from the city. Happy, Charles, Wendy, and Natsu fly ahead to go check it out. The cause of the smoke is from massive pillars of water shooting from the ground to the sky, destroying the city. And the one controlling them is Mercphobia, in his Water Dragon God form. Carmiel, who is feeling guilty, tells the crew that she is responsible for this, because she is the one who let the White Mage take Mercphobia's powers. He was dead set on being killed, and in order to stop that, she asked the White Mage to do it. But all the White Mage did was take his power of restriction. That is her true power. She can turn people's magic into none, or its maximum level any time she wishes. And she is remote controlling Mercphobia, causing him to destroy. Carmiel starts sobbing, and then asks the question she never wanted to. She asks them to slay the Water Dragon God. And this leaves Natsu in shock. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this first part. I really hope you all enjoyed. A lot of work is going into these videos, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.